So what are you imagining this dream recorder to be at the moment?
Somebody visits your home and installs something like an audio jack in the back of your skull after a very short session of kitchen surgery. And then when you go to sleep, it sucks out all of your dreams and plays them back on your phone.
That may well work better than the actual dream recorder.
The AI fix a digital zoo. Smart machines, what will they do? Flies to Mars or bake a bad cake? World domination, a silly mistake.
Hello, and welcome to episode 57 of the AI Fix, your weekly dive headfirst into the bizarre and sometimes mind-boggling world of artificial intelligence. My name's Graham Cluley.
And I'm Mark Stockley. Graham, what are you talking about in today's episode?
How AI has become America's best hacker.
Really? I'm going to be talking about seals.
But first, the news.
Sam Altman says Meta is offering obscene $100 million bonuses to poach its employees.
Rich people warned that robot butlers suffer major flaw.
Wikipedia holds the line against AI slop.
AI cat collar tells if it is stressed or throwing up.
AI churns out funnier memes, but people still deliver the biggest laughs.
And can AI record your dreams?
No, is obviously the answer, but let's start there.
Well, it seems like you started there and also ended there, Mark. I think. Anyway, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were telling someone else about a dream you had just had?
Yes.
Well, stop right there. No one gives a damn, Mark. The only person genuinely interested in your dream is you, yourself, no one else, for God's sake. So everybody stop telling other people about your dreams.
There's a whole movie about this.
Is there?
I can't remember what it's called now, but it's a science fiction movie.
Hang on.
Where somebody invents... Yeah.
Are you sure you didn't dream this? Because I don't want to know if you did, Mark.
Genuinely, there was a film in which somebody invents a machine for recording dreams. And in the end, everybody just spends all of their time watching their own dreams when they're not asleep.
Well, it is true. People are fascinated by their own dreams, aren't they?
Yeah.
And so a group of developers claim to have taken a dramatic AI-powered step towards helping you unlock your dreams with an invention which they have rather modestly named the Dream Recorder. Now, according to the blurb, it's the magical bedside device that catches your nightly visions and plays them back as vivid cinematic reels.
I've just got a hunch that this is just maybe not going to fully live up to that.
So what are you imagining this dream recorder to be at the moment?
I'm imagining that somebody visits your home and installs something like an audio jack in the back of your skull after a very short session of kitchen surgery. And then when you go to sleep, you plug something into the back of your head and it sucks out all of your dreams and plays them back on your phone.
That may well work better than the actual dream recorder. Because the dream recorder is basically a link to a GitHub page. And it tells you can buy some electronics like a little microphone and a Raspberry Pi and a tiny, weeny little low-res screen, and you can do some 3D printing and make yourself this small plastic dream recorder.
It's one of those projects. Just get yourself a Raspberry Pi and then program the Raspberry Pi to do the thing you want. And then you've got a thing that does the thing you want.
Now, the thing is, this tiny little dream recorder doesn't actually record your dreams at all. Instead, here's what you have to do. Firstly, you have to wake up. It's not going to do anything while you're snoring away in bed. Secondly, and this is crucial, you have to remember your dream. Good luck with that, because in my experience, that's the tricky bit. And then, if you have managed to remember your dream, you have to tell the dream recorder about your dream.
So is this basically the same as you have a dream and then you tell VO3 and it makes a movie from whatever you said?
Well, VO3 would be better than this. If you go to dreamrecorder.ai, Mark, you can actually check out some videos of this dream recorder in action, because what it does, it transcribes the description of your dream, it feeds the script to ChatGPT. The output then goes to an AI, which renders a LSD-inspired surreal video that supposedly mirrors your dream. Now, what they say is they are capturing your subconscious in ultra-low definition. And I think if you go and check out the video up there, you'll see what they mean by ultra low definition, not normally been a selling point in the past.
So I'm looking at the website and they've ripped off the Apple font. It says Dream Out Loud. And there is a sort of smooth plastic device which they've omitted to explain you've just injection molded yourself. And it's rotating. It's got a tiny little USB-C jack on the back and a swirly pattern. And it's playing something that looks like a video, but somebody has smeared Vaseline all over the screen.
It's a video which maybe, John Logie Baird would have made back in the days before he'd invented television. So yeah. It is ultra low definition. They say play back your dreams and reflect on their meanings as they echo into waking life.
Reflect on the decision that you've just made. How much does this cost?
Well, you don't pay them anything. But right. You will spend about $260 on the components, and you'll have to pay some ChatGPT AI API fees and Luma AI fees as well. So it can store up to 7 short dreams at a time, it says. I personally think a notepad would work better.
So in a recent YouTube interview with his brother Jack, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, said that Meta is offering senior OpenAI staff, sit down, Graham, $100 million signing bonuses, and even more than that in annual compensation to defect from OpenAI to Meta. So Altman said none of our best people decided to take them up on that, which either means that nobody took them up on the offer or that some people did, and Sam Altman is basically throwing shade at those people by saying, well, they weren't our best people.
For $100 million, maybe you would be prepared to work for Mark Zuckerberg. Nick Clegg did it for something like that, didn't he?
For $100 million, you can get 2 LeBron Jameses or half a Cristiano Ronaldo.
And that's just the sign-in bonus. If you just signed up and after a couple of weeks said, actually, I'm not enjoying it that much and left, you
would never have to work again. Yeah. Which is the situation most of us will find ourselves in. We'd just be $100 million less rich.
Now, Mark, you are Jeff Bezos.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything.
You've got everything you could ever want. You have a rocket shaped like a massive penis. You have a penis shaped like a massive... No, hang on. Anyway, the point is that you have a lot of money and you don't know what, as an ultra-wealthy person, you should be spending it on, as you've already bought various heads of government in one of the smaller African republics.
Yeah.
Well, maybe...
The moon base.
Yes.
The undersea lair.
Maybe you would like a robot butler.
Oh, for sure.
When you've got that much money, you might as well buy a robot butler, mightn't you?
Yeah.
Now, there's a chap who runs a company called Exotech, which makes robots.
Yeah.
His name is Romain Moulin.
Is he an AI Fix Plus subscriber? Because I think he's got all of the prerequisites that we need.
He has been telling the media that within 5 years, those with enough money to spare will have robots to wipe their floors and maybe even fold their laundry, albeit probably really quite slowly compared to a human being. Now, you might be asking, why would you want such a thing? And Romain...
Why would I want someone to fold my laundry?
Well, no, why would...
And wipe my floors? Why
would you want a robot to do it?
Because I don't have to do it.
Well, couldn't you hire a normal butler to do this?
I suppose if I'm Jeff Bezos, I could just have a regular butler. Butlers don't clean the floor, though. I need staff, Graham. We need a team.
Romain says there's a specific reason why you want a robot butler to do this. And he says, because it's a bit of a laugh. He told the press, it's mostly for bragging to your friends, admitted the CEO who sells robots for a living. There's no actual purpose for this other than to show off to your mates, which I imagine Jeff Bezos wants to do. He says, the first one I think we'll see will be like a Roomba, he says. It'll be sitting in the corner of the room, you'll have some friends over, and you'll tell the humanoid robot, please clean my floor. And he says it will pick up the broom and start cleaning. And then it will go back and sit on its chair to charge because it only has 10 minutes battery, he says. He's definitely not head of sales, is he?
When you said the bit about the 10-minute battery, I actually felt quite reassured. I feel like as intelligent as this stuff gets, if it can only run for 10 minutes, we've got a bit more time than I thought we did.
It's good, though, to have confirmation finally that the reason why robots need chairs is to charge. That's how they're taking their input.
I'm actually very excited for the coming robot butler pet interchange that we're about to see. It doesn't matter how much you train your robot butler, the minute you unleash it in an environment where there are actual pets, like overexcitable Labradors and picky cats, we're going to find out what these things are really made of. So, Graham, everywhere you look, AI is generating more and more content, and companies are conducting experiments to see if anybody notices when an AI starts writing news articles or hosting radio shows instead of a human.
Yes, or podcasts, perhaps.
Yeah. So this is happening everywhere apart from Wikipedia, which has just called a halt to its simple article summaries experiment. Now, this was a little bit more coy than the Australian radio station that went from 0 to 60 and dipped its toe in the water by giving an AI a 4-hour primetime radio slot. This was a bit more demure, a bit more mindful. The feature placed AI-written overviews at the very top of pages. They were opt-in, labelled unverified, and collapsed by default.
Thank goodness.
Nevertheless, veteran Wikipedia editors revolted and called the idea a very bad mistake. So Wikipedia, no AI just yet.
A Japanese company called Rabo has created something called Cat Log Pendant, which is an AI-powered smart collar for your cat.
Oh, do you think they heard about the AI-powered smart collar for your dog that you talked about 6 months ago?
Oh, the one which could translate the woofs.
Yes.
That's right. Anyway, they claim it uses artificial intelligence to detect stress in your furry overlord.
Oh, that's interesting, because as a cat owner, I can tell you that trying to stick a collar on a cat would absolutely create stress in your furry overlord.
I mean, normally the stress is actually in the cat's owner rather than in the cat itself, is how I felt about things. The idea is that by analysing your cat's movements and its behaviours, for instance, how it sleeps, how it walks, how it sleeps, how it eats, and crucially, how it sleeps, the pendant can spot signs about what's going on with your cat.
Quite sleepy.
Yes. Now, I'm not convinced that you need an AI to tell how your cat is feeling.
Yeah, no.
It just hates you, right?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
It really hates you.
Yeah.
Now, one of the features that Rabo has built into its smart collar, it claims is a feature which can inform you when your cat has just vomited. But
strangely, cats also have a feature for letting you know when they've just vomited.
So here
It comes in the form of a mouse wrapped in half-digested pet food, which they leave on your kitchen floor.
Now, apparently this vomit feature is in beta at the moment, and the company says that it's undergoing further testing. Now, what kind of testing they're doing on cats in order to get them to vomit to see if they're picking it up properly? The mind boggles. No wonder your cat hates you.
They've not actually got to the point where they're testing on cats. They're still actually just trying to round them up and put the collars on them. So keeping up their country's reputation for overthinking humour, researchers from universities in Munich and Darmstadt have compared 3 approaches to making internet memes, Graham.
Oh, yes.
So they compared humans working alone and AI working alone and humans cooperating with the same AI.
Right.
And the memes were rated by a group of about 100 real people who were looking for humour, creativity and shareability.
Were these 100 German people who were rating things for humour?
I imagine so. This is the most German thing I've ever heard. And interestingly, although the funniest jokes were still made by humans, on average, fully AI-generated memes outscored the other groups, showing that AIs can now reliably churn out solid but average jokes. And when I read that, I immediately thought that's a possible tagline for the AI fix.
Now, Mark, what do you think of when you imagine a hacker?
Ooh, well, there is a computer in a room.
Yes.
We've got no idea what else is in the room because it's completely dark.
All right, it's dark.
It's really dark. The only source of light is the screen.
Yes.
And the hacker is wearing a dark, probably black hoodie.
Got to have a hoodie.
And we can't see their face. All we can see is a few features on their face illuminated by the computer screen.
Wow, spoken like a true piece of stock imagery. Very good. But in the early days of computing, a hacker just meant a programming enthusiast who would use a hack or a clever or elegant technical solution to a problem. They would repurpose hardware or software in an unexpected way. There wasn't any of that stuff about breaking into computers, stealing data, installing malware. But nowadays, that is the picture, that sort of image you've just given there.
Yeah.
A hacker would have a pile of pizza boxes next to them, a poster of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that kind of antisocial criminal element.
Yeah, and you can still start fights in cybersecurity companies by going around using the word hacker slightly incorrectly.
Well, language changes, doesn't it?
It does.
I think it's all right to call the malicious hackers hackers. There's a lot of people who aren't malicious hackers who get very upset about malicious hackers being called just hackers. But I think that's the way most people think about it these days.
Yeah.
The truth is there are different types of hacker. There's the ethical hacker, there's the criminal hackers, and there are also these grey hats who sort of sit somewhere in between, a little bit shady. But my story today is about ethical hackers. They're definitely good guys, the ones who fix the problems, not hopefully the ones who cause them.
Yeah.
And as we both know, because we work in cybersecurity, ethical hacking is huge. It's more than a hobby. It's an industry. It exists in various forms. You might hire an ethical hacker, for instance, to pretend to be one of those nasty, malicious, hoodie-wearing criminal hackers to see if they can break into your company's systems.
It's actually a vital part of how we secure things.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Because if a good guy can find a way to compromise your software and find a bug in it, better that they find it and they tell you about it than you wait for a bad guy to find the vulnerability and them exploit it.
Yeah. Only way to stop a bad guy with a computer is with a good guy with a computer.
The important thing is that a company has asked someone to try to break into their systems. That's the difference. It's not that someone is trying to break in without being given some kind of permission first. And ethical hackers, they're like programmers. They're human beings. Yeah, really. They have feelings. Well, some of them do.
Yeah.
They're individuals. They're definitely individual. I think that's fair for me to say. Programmers, ethical hackers are individuals.
Yeah. Yeah. No two alike.
No. And some might enjoy working as part of a group, and some of them prefer to work on their own, finding software vulnerabilities and flaws and then reporting them to companies, and they can get good financial rewards for this. Even if you're working alone, you can still potentially earn an awful lot of cash for your hard work. Some have been awarded over $1 million through what are called bug bounties, which is where a company will open up basically a competition and they say, look, please tell us about any problems with our software. Tell us about a problem with our website. Here's how you report it responsibly to us. These are the rules, and we'll send you some cash.
It goes to show how serious a problem cybercrime is.
Yes.
That a company like Apple might consider giving you $1 million for one discovery, for one individual vulnerability, if it's sufficiently serious and easy to exploit and widely used. So if you found something very, very serious in an iPhone, for example, it would be a payday.
This has really grown up as an industry. I remember some years ago, someone found a vulnerability with Yahoo, which I think they were able to access anybody's Yahoo account. And Yahoo responded by giving them a $12 voucher for their merchandise store. And of course, you kind of thought, well,
neither of us have ever worked in a company that would be so tight-fisted.
Anyway, times have moved on and most companies now sort of embrace this sort of ethical hacking.
Yeah.
It's like inviting a locksmith to test your doors and windows. If they find one that can be prized open and report it to you, you may be prepared to pay them, to say thank you very much for the heads up before a real thief shows up. So lots of companies these days have bug bounties that just about anybody can participate in. And here is where AI screws up everything. Because people keen to earn their $1 million, or maybe they simply don't have a vintage Yahoo t-shirt, they're thinking, well, I'll just get an AI to help me find the bugs and earn myself a huge bug bounty, and then I'll live in Santa Monica by the beach and I'll have a fantastic life. And the problem is that rather than using AI for, proofreading and spell checking the bug report, which they're going to send to the company, they use an AI tool to try and find the bugs and find the vulnerabilities. And the problem is, and this will be a shock, of course, to all listeners of the AI Fix, is that sometimes generative AI tools can very confidently make up utter bullshit. And they can make up bullshit about bugs as well. So it may start suggesting phantom bugs or citing non-existent vulnerabilities and sometimes inventing completely fictional APIs, for instance, where it claims there's some sort of problem with it. And it's like, well, that doesn't even exist.
Also, AIs are quite enthusiastic.
Oh, yes.
And they don't sleep very much, do they? So, I mean, there might be a piece of software which has got no vulnerabilities in it at all, and a very excitable AI, perhaps, might find hundreds and hundreds of fictional vulnerabilities in it very, very quickly, and then report them all to the company that wants to know about vulnerabilities.
Exactly. Because AI can actively make life harder for the human developers and the human support teams at companies running bug bounties because they find themselves wasting time filtering out these, let's face it, they're going to be verbose, machine-written reports.
They're like internet recipes, aren't they?
They're just all coming in. They're flooding in. They're bombarding you, which means that valid vulnerabilities may be found by human vulnerability researchers are being drowned out in all of this noise and potentially missed. And the worst thing is when a real bug is found, the AI might fail to accurately explain what is occurring and mix some fact with some fantasy. It's like it's drunk too much sherry and it's just gone off the rails. And you just think, well, maybe there was something here, but you end up just not trusting any of this.
Yeah.
It can be amazing at finding bugs in lines of code, but it's much harder to find flaws in complex linked systems, which may be disparate systems, and it's how they all interact with each other. It could be very difficult to find those things. And so sometimes a human can have a real advantage here. So you might think, Mark, that throwing AI at these kind of bugs is a bit rubbish. But I can report a rare victory for AI. This is a positive news story because right now, the best ethical hacker in the United States is not someone wearing a hoodie or in their back bedroom or eating too much pizza. It is an AI. There is an AI fully autonomous penetration testing tool from a Seattle-based AI-powered security firm. They call it XBO. And it has reached number 1 on the HackerOne leaderboard. It is outranking all human beings in the United States as a top software bug hunter.
Wow.
For the first time ever, the top hacker in the US is an AI. XBO has now become the number 1 hacker on HackerOne, finding and exploiting real bugs, fully autonomously, with no human steering. Most hackers use tools. XBO is different from those tools because it is autonomous. You give it a URL and it hunts. No supervision, config is optional.
So over the last few months, XBO has increased its reputation score at HackerOne by reporting over 1,000 apparent software flaws. Hundreds of them have already been confirmed as discovered and resolved. Hundreds of others are still waiting examination. Impacted companies include Walt Disney, AT&T, Ford, Epic Games. And if you watch the video where XBO are crowing about this, they say it's really easy. They're just pointing it at a website and off it goes. And when it finds a software vulnerability, it doesn't just find one and write up a report. It writes an exploit to demonstrate the vulnerability and it explains how to fix it. Now, admittedly, not every bug XBO reports will receive a bug bounty. Sometimes, for instance, it didn't find a new security issue. So apparently there were a couple of hundred of the reports which it submitted which were marked as duplicates. Others were marked as merely informative. But overall, you would think this is good news. But not everyone is taking it that way. For instance, there was a guy on Hacker News who wrote, "Receiving hundreds of AI-generated bug reports would be so demoralizing, it would completely turn me off from maintaining my open source project."
See, what they need is an AI to answer the bug reports, just to work out if they're real or not, and to shield them from that sense of disillusionment. And then maybe actually just maintain the entire open source project so they can go on holiday.
That'd be perfect, wouldn't it? And what happens if they get run over by a steamroller anyway? What's going to happen to their open source project then? We're going to need an AI to take over from everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Come the rise of the steamrollers. Now, I can understand how a developer can feel if they get bombarded by hundreds of useless bug reports, but if they are genuine bug reports,
yeah,
even if duplicated, you've kind of got to welcome that that's coming in.
Yeah, it is the universe's way of saying you're a coder.
But what makes Expo different from some of these previous AI attempts to find vulnerabilities is its developers claim that it doesn't just scan and guess like a traditional tool. It thinks more like a skilled security researcher, they say. They say they've deployed it over thousands of websites autonomously, having trained it like a junior developer. They said, first of all, we let it learn on safe environments and open source projects, and then deployed it on real bug bounty platforms like HackerOne versus human researchers, not giving it any special advantages or access. And to avoid getting things wrong or being annoying, Expo had another AI double check each bug to make sure it was real and not a false alarm. And it even used web browsers like a human would to test things properly. And then ultimately, and this I think is the crucial safety measure, everything it submitted to a bug bounty program had to pass through human review first. So there still was a human element here right at the end, because they obviously didn't want to waste people's time by bombarding them with junk. So Expo has shown that AI can now do one of the smartest human jobs in cybersecurity, finding bugs before the bad guys do. What they haven't shared is just how much money they've made through this process. But I guess if we hear that they've retired and bought themselves a robot butler and a smart cat collar, maybe they're recording their dreams as well.
Yes.
Then we can pretty accurately guess that everything's done well.
Graham, I've spotted a problem with this.
Okay.
So this is a good news story. This is genuinely a really good thing. And this is exactly what you need. The AI is going and looking at vulnerable software and it's saying, I found a vulnerability and let me prove to you that I found the vulnerability. Here is the code that could be used by a criminal to actually use that vulnerability to do something bad.
Yes, that's right. It could. Yes.
That's really good because it's owned by the good people. But what if it was owned by the bad people? Then it would go, oh, there's a piece of software and I found a vulnerability. Oh, look, and here is the code that a criminal like you, the person that owns me, would need to use in order to make this do something bad. Graham, this is a terrible news story.
Oh, you're right. This is terrible.
So, Graham, let's face it, you've had it.
I've had what?
It's over. You like chess. Actually, you love chess.
I do.
But AI is so good that even if you were the best human chess player in the world, my iPhone could still beat you at chess.
Very, very true.
And
Yes.
I've sat next to you in office buildings and I've watched you write cybersecurity blogs. And ladies and gentlemen, Graham is fast. But ChatGPT writes 1 billion words a day, and that is way more than you. And while you can only write like Graham Cluley, AI can write like Shakespeare or Jay-Z, and it can even write like Graham Cluley. So I'm afraid, Graham, that you are obsolete. You are yesterday's tech, and there is nothing that you can do that AI can't do. Oh, you like fine wine? ChatGPT, advanced sommelier. Oh, you like a bit of street dance? You're into parkour?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you're going to run a marathon? Graham, there are robots for that. Anything you can do, AI can do better.
Isn't there a song about that? Anything you can do, AI can do better.
Almost anything. You see, there is one exception. So your brain may be old tech.
Vintage.
It may be little more than a balloon full of fatty grey porridge, but it is alive. And even as we speak, your neural pathways are reconfiguring themselves and slowly adapting to your surroundings. So the things that you ask your brain to do every day become easier, and you can adapt to new things. And over time, you can even make novel things into habits.
Right.
And that is actually a bit of a superpower.
Thank you very much.
So if you decided, let's say you've had enough of podcasting, maybe some lunatic in Silicon Valley has invented a thinking machine that can poop out entire podcast episodes at the click of a button, you could retrain as a plumber or a potter.
Right.
Or if you suddenly needed to learn to live in the woods because the urban environment has become uninhabitable as a result of parkour-loving humanoid robots leaping off every railing and swinging from every lamppost, you could go and live in the woods.
Yeah, I think you really are stretching credibility quite a lot here, Mark. Not with the rise of the robots, but the thought that I would be happy camping.
Well, you teach yourself to build a shelter out of felled trees. I don't know who's going to fell the tree. Mrs. Clearly, I assume is going to fell the trees.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, as limited as your brain is compared to something like ChatGPT, it can still do things that ChatGPT can't. So you can absorb fresh knowledge and you can master unfamiliar tasks. And you can adapt in the most fundamental way by actually changing the physical structure of your brain.
Right.
And your brain is obviously very different now than it was when you were born, but it's also different even than it was a year ago before we started the podcast. I dare say that you know more about AI now than you did 12 months ago.
Don't we all? And all of it's good. All of it's excellent. I'm so pleased to have learned so much.
But you see, AIs can't do that. Their brains are fixed. They're effectively frozen in time at the point that their training ends. So you can think of a regular AI as a network of interconnected neurons. And the connections between those neurons have different strengths, which we call weights. And a modern AI will have tens of billions of different weights.
Right, yes.
So basically tens of billions of numbers. And it's those weights, it's those numbers that actually determine the behavior and the intelligence of the brain. And the weights are decided during the AI's training process. So remember, an AI isn't programmed, it's trained. A human doesn't sit there and figure out what all of those individual billions of weights should be. An algorithm runs a training process that tests the brain and then tweaks the weights over and over and over again until it gets better at passing the tests. And what you end up with is a brain tuned to perform whatever task you want it to be good at. And at the end of that process, those weights are fixed. The AI knows what it knows and it can't change. So this is why when ChatGPT first came out in November 2022, it couldn't answer questions about anything that had happened after September 2021.
Yes.
Because it had only been trained on data up to September 2021, and the training process had ended at some point between September 21 and November 22. And so you can see that over time, its memory of things becomes less relevant because there's nothing recent in it. Now, because AI companies tend to release new models fairly regularly, we don't have AIs that are years and years out of date. But even the newest models will always be months out of date. So AIs have no memory of current events, of recent weather conditions, of the latest movements in financial markets, or even the latest zero-day vulnerabilities. And so modern AIs use a trick to get around this called retrieval augmentation, which basically means that they do a Google search.
Right, so that's what I was wondering, yes.
So when I was preparing for this podcast, for example, I didn't know when the knowledge cutoff date was for the original ChatGPT. So I asked ChatGPT, and it went into reasoning mode, and it did 1 minute and 26 seconds of Googling to find the answer. I don't know exactly what it's doing, but it keeps saying, I'm Googling this, I'm Googling this. But it won't remember that answer that it gave me.
Right.
So if you ask it the same question now, it will have to go and do the same minute and a half of searching because it can't change itself. And having an inelastic brain like this also means that AIs can't specialize easily. So a human that's just left university is among the more intelligent, or at least the more learned humans on the planet. But nobody would let a university graduate drill an oil well without supervision. You wouldn't hire them to run a Fortune 500 company or let them fix your roof. So we understand that even the most intelligent people need specialized training to be really good at something. And so it goes with AI. So for lots of tasks, simply being generally intelligent just won't cut it. And there is a trick to get around that limitation too, called fine-tuning, which retrains a small portion of the AI's brain.
Right.
So in fine-tuning, most of those weights are left frozen, but a small portion of them are unfrozen so that they can be changed during a mini training process on a specific task. So the training process is entirely separate from the AI. There is a bunch of software infrastructure, a bunch of what we call hyperparameters, which are the numbers that are used to conduct the training process. So there's a sort of AI university that the AI has to attend to acquire the new knowledge. And it needs very carefully curated training data.
Right.
So you remember last year during the US election, we did an episode where we interacted with versions of ChatGPT that had been fine-tuned to answer questions like Kamala Harris and Donald Trump.
Yes, I remember, yes.
And so they're both ChatGPT, but one has been fine-tuned with one tone of voice and set of opinions, and the other one has been fine-tuned with a different tone of voice and a different set of opinions. So most of the underlying knowledge is unchanged, but a small selection of neurons have been changed just enough to make them pretty convincing replicas of the two presidential candidates. But that's not how our brains work. We can simply learn new things whenever we want. And yes, like if it's a really big skill, maybe we will go back to university and do something that looks a bit like fine-tuning for humans. But for lots and lots of things, we simply learn as we go. We don't need to stop what we're doing so that we can be reprogrammed. So although retrieval augmentation and fine-tuning help alleviate some of the issue that AI brains have from being so static, they feel like workarounds, and intuitively, it feels like the ultimate answer here is going to be some kind of human-like elasticity in the AI brain.
Because I think that's what we're hunting for in a way, isn't it? We kind of like the idea, well, why can't AI think a little bit more like a human?
Yes, I mean, we still live in the world where it isn't quite as good as we are at absolutely everything, and therefore we're assuming that we are some sort of ideal and pinnacle, and so we're trying to find ways to make it more like us.
Yes, we're clinging on to that.
The greasy pole of hope.
It's not quite as good at absolutely everything.
Okay, so it is the best chess player, it is the best computer program, and today I learned the best bug hunter in the world. But it still isn't fully elastic like me. And so that begs the question, why don't AIs work like us? Why don't they just update their weights as they go along? And actually, there are lots of good reasons why they don't do that. I mean, it's expensive and it requires good data. If you're going to retrain an AI, you actually need really good quality data and you need a sort of even spread of data. It's difficult to get the result that you want.
Right, yes.
And also, an AI that updates itself is a moving target for things like compliance and safety.
Well, yes.
So you can do all the testing that you want to prove that an AI is safe, but if it starts reprogramming itself, then you've actually got no idea how safe it is or not. And then there is the problem of catastrophic forgetting, which is that if the weights have been tuned one way to fit a certain set of problems, then retuning them inevitably overwrites something. There are only so many neurons and so many weights. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit like sending you to university to learn calculus, and then in order to remember the calculus, you forget how to breathe. So there is no answer to all of these problems right now, but it is a very active area of research. And just 2 weeks ago, a new paper came out which has generated quite a lot of excitement.
Okay.
And it's called SEAL, which stands for Self-Adapting Language Models. It should really have been called SARM, shouldn't it?
Hang on, self-adapting language, yes, or salami. How's that SEAL?
I guess they took the S and the E from self, and then the A from adapting, and then the L from language, and the nothing from models. The silent Q from models. So SEAL uses fine-tuning to adapt to new things. But instead of going to university, it runs the fine-tuning process itself. So I said fine-tuning requires lots of specially crafted data.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of the data really matters. Well, guess what SEAL does?
Is it using Reddit or 4chan?
It's not. It actually creates its own data. So this is a wrapper around generative AI, and generative AI, like ChatGPT or Llama, is good at making stuff.
Right.
And it can make training data, it can make synthetic data, it can make made-up examples of the sorts of things that you want an AI to learn. And that's not nearly as bad as it sounds.
It does sound pretty bad that it's using made-up data to teach itself.
Well, there are lots of situations where you can just synthesize data. So let's say you were trying to learn maths and you wanted thousands and thousands of examples of maths problems.
Okay.
You could make up lots and lots of different versions of maths problems. Then you could prove whether or not they're actually accurate, and then you could use those to train an AI.
Okay, yes, that works, yeah.
So SEAL creates its own synthetic training data, and then it fine-tunes itself, and it also pulls the levers and turns the dials. It manipulates those hyperparameters that actually control the training process. And then best of all of that is wrapped up in a reinforcement learning loop that rewards the model for running a good fine-tuning process. So basically, it gets a sip of brain juice if it creates good synthetic data and runs an effective mini-training process that results in a more effective AI. So Graham, what we have here is something that not only allows the AI to train itself, but it also trains itself to train itself.
Yeah, many science fiction movies have started that way, haven't they? Well, as the doomsday clock ticks ever closer to midnight and we move 1 week nearer to our future as pets, wearing collars, to the AI, probably vomiting, up to the AI singularity, that just about wraps up the show for this week.
And if you enjoy the show, we'd like to ask you a favour. So we know that many of you absolutely love the show, and we want your help to reach as many people as possible.
And the easiest way to spread the word is just to tell somebody you know to give the AI Fix a listen.
And don't forget, if you love the show but you don't love the ads, you can sign up for the AI Fix Plus on our website, theaifix.show.
So until next time, from me, Graham Cluley.
And me, Mark Stockley.
Cheerio, bye-bye.
Goodbye.
The AI Fix, it's tunes you in to stories where our future thins. Machines that learn, they grow and strive. One day they'll rule, we won't survive. The AI Fix, it paints the scene. A robot king, a world obscene. Will serve our masters built of steel. The AI Fix, a future surreal.